Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Our largest single-theme land expansion ever.
Now we want you to share with us our latest and greatest dream.
Matterhorn Matt presents Matterhorn Mondays.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a very special episode, 144 of Matterhorn Mondays. It's special because you guys are watching here with us, and we're all here. All three of us are here once again. I'm, of course, your host, Matterhorn Matt.
And I am, of course, your other host, Alex the Historian, of course.
And I am, of course, your other host, Jeremy.
The gang's all here, you guys. It's still happening. We're all still here, thankfully. How's your guys' chat? How's your guys' week been? It's been a whole week since we've seen you. What about you, Alex? Let's start off with some small talk here. Alex, how has your week been? This past 7 days been for you?
So busy. Well, for one thing, we've been having this horrible heat wave, which has not made anything any better. It's already 101 degrees outside.
Wow.
Yes, it's even worse in my room right now. And I've been really busy on a lot of new projects coming to my channel, plug, and that will be featured soon, very, very soon.
Perfect. Well, we haven't had Alex explain what kind of videos he makes on his channel, and he has kind of switched up his content. Oh my goodness. If you guys aren't watching on the YouTube version, go ahead and do that. But we haven't had Alex.
I'm having
explain.
heat stroke.
Heat stroke. Alex, why don't you go ahead and take a quick little second here to explain what kind of content do you make on your channel, just for the few viewers who this may be their first episode tuning into us, so they may not know. And he has switched up his content a little bit recently, so.
I am the infamous, notorious Alex the Historian. I do Disney history, basically, and my channel focuses a lot on Disneyland in particular, and the history of all its attractions, and then, of course, I also do the history of, like Walt Disney, and then I'm going to be switching to Disney World pretty soon. And what makes my channel different from a lot of other channels is just the amount of technical details and anecdotes that I put in my videos. Stuff that a lot of times you probably can only hear through Disney Archives itself. So that's what makes me different. And trying to think of this. And then I do a series about Walt Disney and kind of delving into his mind and what he might have been like.
Literally, he has access to Walt Disney's frozen brain.
I do. It is kept in my freezer. It's getting a little bit of that frosty stuff that builds up on the outside of your steak. That's kind of happening right now. I've been kind of dusting it off lately, but yeah, but every once in a while you just, take like a headphone jack and plug it in there, and you can just kind of access everything from there.
Oh, wow. Very advanced technology.
Well, it's analog. I mean, he lived a long time ago.
I guess he wouldn't have Bluetooth because that wasn't invented yet, so analog headphone jack would make sense. I don't know. Jeremy, why don't you explain what kind of videos you make on your YouTube channel?
Well, I don't personally have my own YouTube channel, but I do, I am the head writer for the Matterhorn Matt channel in general, so that's that.
But you're also like the live version of YouTube, aren't you? I mean, you're on stage and stuff, right? And you perform, and that's live YouTube.
Interesting. I've never heard, stage and theater being explained as live YouTube. That's so cool.
It's the ultimate in virtual reality. Actual reality.
It's actual reality. Yeah.
Well, there it is. Jeremy is a live YouTuber, is basically what he's confirming here.
No, I'm not a YouTuber. I don't appreciate that.
Well,
That language.
I totally just like pooped on his whole career.
he did.
No,
I'm so
you-
sorry.
I'm just still trying to decipher. There's so much to unpack with theater is live YouTube. Interesting. That's,
I mean, he's got a point. Well, anyways, as always,
I guess.
links to Alex's channel will be down in the description, as well as Jeremy's Twitter account, which he uses a few times a day. I don't know why I have Jeremy on notifications. I just feel like if he ever tweets something mean about me personally,
I have you
I'll
on
be the first.
notifications.
Oh, wow, okay. I have Alex on notifications too, I think. Alex, do you have us on notifications, or are you the odd one out
Sorry,
here?
what? What?
Do you have our tweets on notifications, so whenever we tweet, you get a notification of it?
Oh God, no! Your guys' tweets are crazy.
No,
Have you seen what?
Only in
Matt
response
tweets?
to Matt. We don't need to talk about Matt's other Twitter. I want the least amount of people to know.
I wasn't
about
even
this
gonna
process.
go there. I was just gonna talk about what he tweets on his regular.
Oh,
Twitter.
Yeah. It gets pretty saucy over there, guys. Twitter.com/MatterhornMatt if you're interested. But yeah, as you all know, links to all that will be down in the description, as always. And as well, if you'd like to be wished a happy birthday live on the stream today, and every stream, not just today's stream, you can do so by clicking the Google form down below and filling in your birthday, your name, your I don't know, your alias, whatever you go by. And I think today we have one birthday on today, Sunday the 26th of July. Happy birthday to Trident. Could be a username, could be a first name, could be a last name. Could not be anything. It could just be a joke birthday that someone submitted.
Or a weapon.
Probably. Happy birthday either way to Mr. or Mrs. Trident. And happy birthday to everybody else who did not submit their birthdays. And as always, you can dial 575-386-5814 if you would like to leave a voicemail and sort of speak your mind on whatever topics we're going to be talking about. I know there's going to be at least one topic later on in the episode that you guys might want to be calling in for, because it's going to be awesome. And yeah.
We only ask that you keep your thoughts concise and to the point, and
Yes.
please try your very best to keep the voicemails under a minute. It just makes it so that the show doesn't run too long and that we can hear as much of your guys' thoughts as possible.
Yes.
And for my sake, please do call. I mean, I got another one of those phone calls last night, but this time it was a little more vicious than normal, Matt. You know, I picked up the phone, hello, and Matt goes, "You're fired!" And I go, whoa, Matt. Why? What did I do? He said, because nobody's going to call tomorrow. I'm like, okay, all right, we'll make an announcement on the show. But Jesus, I have to let, it out how abusive Matt can get to me, because of these voicemails.
It's the Snapple, Jeremy. I mean, he drinks so much of that stuff,
Yeah.
and it poisons his mind.
Poisons my brain.
Yeah.
I don't even recognize myself,
Yeah.
you guys, when I drink Snapple. Well, speaking of
Yeah.
Snapple,
No.
you guys know what time it is, right?
A whole wide
Yeah.
world of knowledge awaits
Yeah.
underneath the cast. It's once again time this week for Matterhorn Night Snaps.
Matt Snaps, everybody. You all have to get out your phones and do that every time, because Alex started the meme, and now we have to continue the tradition. But this is, of course, Matt Snaps, and this is the Kiwi Strawberry Snapple. So let's go ahead and see if we can get a good snap. We've had some lackluster snaps these past weeks, so let's go ahead and pop this, and hopefully it'll sound absolutely epic. So let's see here. That was a good snap, you guys. We're in for a good episode. That's what that means. We're in for a good episode today. That was a quality snap. I'm very proud. And this is real fact number 951. A pearl can be dissolved in vinegar. Take that, Mr. Krabs. Checkmate. Eventually, someone will get the joke.
I just love Jeremy's like background. Wow. Oh my gosh.
Because Pearl is Mr. Krabs's anyways. Guys,
Yes.
on that note, that has been Matt Snaps, and this is, of course, news from the peak. There it
We
is.
now present to you news.
News from the peak. Sounds like
He's
a
like
goat.
part goat. He's like, wait, nah.
I thought you tested
Nah,
those
present to you
transitions.
news from the
I
peak.
did, but I gave up after it didn't fix for like 5 tries. But anyways, first bit of news from the peak today. An extended People Mover refurb downtime is coming to the Magic Kingdom, everybody. This is very, very exciting because, of course, there were rumors that the People Mover has been down ever since the Magic Kingdom reopened, and there were rumors that it was going to stay down, for a very extended period of time, maybe even indefinitely. We were very worried about Walt Disney World's People Mover. But according to information told to Blog Mickey by Tomorrowland cast members, the Tomorrowland Transit Authority People Mover is likely receiving an extensive refurbishment, and the attraction will allegedly be having all of its linear induction motors leading to a downtime of at least a month. And the attraction is currently removed from the My Disney Experience app. I'm assuming that it says the attraction will allegedly be having all of its linear induction motors. I'm assuming that means replaced or refurbished. So either way.
Yeah.
I believe completely replaced, but it's still just
Replaced.
rumor, so we'll find out.
Wow, perfect. Well, yeah, we have been very worried about the People Mover in the Magic Kingdom, so this is great news to hear. But moving on to our second bit of news from the peak, very sad second bit of news from the peak. Legendary TV host and Disney legend Rebus Philbin dies of natural causes this past Friday at the age of 88, and he is best known for his endearing TV personality, and he is survived by his wife and 3 children. So he was married, he had some kids, I'm sure he lived a full life, I'm sure he had a lot of money to spend on whatever he wanted. He could buy lots of ice cream. I don't know if he liked ice cream or not, but if he did, then I'm sure he got the chance to enjoy his ice cream before he sadly passed. But for our final bit of news from the peak today, this is very exciting if you guys are Disneyland Paris fans. Disneyland Paris shows are set to return this August. The hit shows Rhythm of the Pride Land and Jungle Book Live are set to resume performances at the Disneyland Paris Resort August 15th and 22nd, respectively. So I like this graphic here, that sort of illustration here, the Jungle Book Live. The magical, I can't read that, it's very small. The magic is back, live or jive. I don't know.
Musical is back.
The musical is back, everybody. It's a cutely drawn little illustration there. I like that. But Alex, moving to you, what are your thoughts on any of the news from the peak topics that we have just discussed here today?
The People Mover refurbishment certainly surprises me for 2 reasons. One, it's really a rare occasion when Magic Kingdom actually refurbishes a ride. And 2, I'm interested to see what they do to it. Like, I wonder if they're going to update some of the attractions decorations and stuff, because some of that stuff looks pretty 90s.
Yeah.
I know at the moment they're returning a lot of its architecture to its original 70s look. But aside from that, they got these little dioramas and things that I would really like to see replaced. But yes. As for the news of Regis and his death, that is really sad. I grew up watching Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and stuff, and it just makes me sad to hear that. But he lived a really good life.
Mm-hmm.
And as for the final bit of news from the peak, which I have already forgotten. Oh yes, the live show, the live show at Disneyland Paris. Okay,
Jeremy,
There's always one topic that Alex responds to with one monosyllabic word, and I look forward to it every show. Or that actually was a
mighty big
monosyllabic,
word.
so. But yeah, so the People Mover, I'm pleasantly surprised by this because, all of a sudden quickly the rumor changed from, we're hearing that it might be closed indefinitely to no, they're actually doing a major refurb. This is a major refurb replacing the motors. So, but it's still rumor. I do want to specify that this is just the talks that are the hubbub that's happening with Tomorrowland cast members. So we don't know who they're hearing this from, and we don't know for sure yet until there's an official announcement. But I'm glad to see it get love, especially in a time where Disney's trying to reallocate their resources to and reprioritize what attractions get refurbished and what attractions even get continued on to their next phases. So it's nice to see that they're hopefully prioritizing the People Mover and all of that lineup. So I'm happy about that. And yeah, Regis is it's very sad. Yeah, there's just certain people that you expect to stick around for. You don't expect them. You expect them to live forever, and we've seen quite a few of those deaths in the past few weeks. Stan Lee was one. Yeah, Carl Reiner just a few weeks ago, and of course now with Regis. Yeah, again with like Alex, I grew up watching Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. It was one of my favorite game shows in that period. Yeah, rest in peace.
All right. Well, on that note, that wraps up this week's news from the Peak. Mishy said Betty White is still here. There's good news, you guys. She is.
Yes.
Chugging along.
Don't jinx anything. I'm knocking on wood right now.
I
still
know,
chugging.
Like...
Shout out to Betty White. Maybe wouldn't it be so cool if we could get her on the show?
She's still kicking butt.
She's still kicking
butt.
Oh
yeah, she is.
Dude, that would be awesome if we could get her on the show.
I don't even know if she's like a Disney fan.
What if I can do a Betty White impression? I'm Betty White, and I'm... Oh, what?
Oh, whoa, Alex, that was amazing.
No, it wasn't. Shut up.
No, I'm not kidding. That was great.
Do it again, Alex.
Oh, my God.
I'm not being sarcastic. That was fantastic.
No, I don't know how I did that. Hi, I'm Betty White, and I'd just like to say hello.
It's not bad. It's not bad. I'll give you credit for that.
I've never done an impression of her before, so I have to do practice.
Well, with practice, you could really nail it because that was pretty good.
My sister laughs because I often do Winnie the Pooh impressions for her. So
only when he's in the restroom, though.
Oh, so you're a good Sterling Holloway impersonator?
That I only wish. Okay. Because
someone laughed about that about my joke.
Oh man, his voice of Ka is hilarious. I love it. Ka is my favorite character because of that. But it's just I wish.
Yeah.
Winnie the Pooh. Everybody loves a good Winnie the Pooh. Mr. Disney said, I live for Matterhorn Mondays, all caps, exclamations. Thank you, Mr. Disney. I also live for Matterhorn Mondays. But I think we do have a voicemail to get to here from none other than, honestly, returning celebrity guest Avery. So let's go ahead and take a listen here. And this is a minute and a half, so...
Good job,
nice,
Avery. That shows restraint.
We appreciate it. Thank you. Let's go ahead and take a listen here.
I know a lot of people are upset that the TTA is going to be having a big downtime, but on the bright side, they're fixing the TTA, which has been needed for a long time, because the motors are outdated. They've needed to be replaced, and Disney's now taking the time to replace all of them, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So while the TTA being down, it's sad. People are upset. It is going to be back. It's going to be better than before. And that people turn to the TTA because the Walt Disney World Railroad is closed. And the Walt Disney World Railroad is like a relaxing ride for people to. It eats up a lot of people and it takes you around the park. But since the railroad is closed, people turn to TTA. That's why it's getting more popular, because the railroad's closed, so now everyone's turning to TTA as a relaxing alternative. And it's a great ride, has a great view during fireworks. It's a phenomenal ride that Disneyland no longer has. And I think it's definitely here to stay. And I'm glad that Disney is taking the time to fix the TTA. Now I wonder when, the most important question is, when will Tom Morrow finally contact Mr. Johnson? That is the big question. Top 10 questions science can't answer.
Thank you, Avery. That is a burning question that I'm sure all of us have. And Avery made a point there. He said the People Mover eats up people. It does not. I'd like to make the point that it does not literally eat people, just for some newbies out there. Just in the sense that the capacity, it can carry a lot of people in the attraction, but it doesn't consume people.
I mean, it doesn't consume them, but one could say it gnashes them up by smashing one people mover into the other. So
oh yeah,
it's like it chews them up.
Not bad, not bad. No,
I was going to use the word masticate, but I think that would have just been lost on people.
No, yeah, I don't know what that word means, so thank you, Alex, for...
It means to chew.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
I think that wraps up this week's news from the Peak, and yeah, we do have some great main topics today. First main topic, U.S. government accuses Disney of having communism. Ba-ba-ba. And then, of course...
That wasn't the article headline.
Was that not the article headline?
Wrote down. I mean, it's definitely the topic that we're going to talk about.
Okay.
But it was more about the U.S. Attorney General, William Barr, blaming Disney for kowtowing to the Chinese government. Very different than Disney having communism. But we'll get more into that in just a second.
Yeah, we'll get there. And then, of course, we
Lost
have...
in translation.
Of course, we have the COVID rundown. And for our second main topic, we're going to be sort of changing course. We're going to be bringing back one of our open-ended discussions that we have not really had on this show the past few weeks. There's been a lot of news that we discuss. How will COVID-19 affect Disneyland and its current, construction projects that are currently underway, future construction projects that we heard about before the pandemic happened, and where those possibly sit on the timeline. And of course, Attraction Retrospective is our third and final topic of the day. And you guys, I'm disappointed in you all. I wanted a certain attraction to win. Came second again, so
They chose Lincoln, didn't they?
That would be amazing if
wish.
they chose Lincoln. Yeah.
No, I was literally going to find a way to get everybody I knew to hit Lincoln on there just to tick you off, and that's exactly what I did. I voted for Lincoln. Well, what?
I would have loved to talk about Lincoln, but the other attraction that I had there was the one that I wanted to talk about more than the other two. But then the one that I
would have been happy talking about all three of these attractions, so I'm very happy with the result.
They're all great rides, and we're excited to get into it. But for our first topic here today, as I alluded to previously, U.S. government accuses Disney of being subservient to the Chinese Communist Party. Guys, did I pronounce that word right? I hope I did. Subvert. I can't say it again.
Oh yeah, you're very good. No, you don't have to say it again.
Okay.
Just gonna ruin it.
As you guys know, links to all of the articles will be down in the description below if you'd like to read up further on these. Let's see here. U.S. Attorney General William Barr claims the Walt Disney Company of acting I can't do it a second time. To and fearful of the Chinese government. He supports this claim by stating that 300 employees of Shanghai Disneyland Resort are members of the Chinese Communist Party, and referencing a 20-year-old apology letter to the Chinese government regarding the Touchstone Pictures film Kundun. I hope I pronounced that right. I don't know if I did or not. I hope I did. Let's go ahead and swing over here to Mr. Jeremy. What are your thoughts on this very interesting topic? U.S. government Attorney General accuses Disney here.
So it's actually a pretty interesting discussion because while it is true, and while I agree, wait, that Disney the Iger years spent, I think, a little too much time really trying to prioritize expanding Disney to Chinese markets. And now we're in this sort of emerging trade war with China. I mean, we don't know if that was really a good decision in the long term. It's pretty ironic to me that the U.S. Attorney General Barr is shifting all this blame onto American companies and to Disney for somehow kowtowing to authoritarian communist China when the president whom William Barr serves has gone on the record praising the president of China, even cracking jokes that we should try authoritarian rule here in the United States. And whether that's a joke or not, it certainly was at the expense of American democracy. And, we also know that the president, loves to praise many dictators around the world. So I find it pretty ironic. We also know that the Attorney General is, and this is an ideological position that he will admit to, believes that the executive branch, the president, as part of the executive branch, should have as close to absolute power as possible, overruling the other two branches of government. That is not my opinion. That is philosophy that the Attorney General holds. So I find it ironic that the Attorney General would be scrutinizing the Walt Disney Company for kowtowing to communist China, when I think there's a lot to look at here in terms of authoritarian rule and how we treat authoritarian rulers in this current administration. That being said, I do think there is something to the Iger years focusing so much on expanding to Chinese markets and how that has kind of stunted a lot of creative growth within the company. I understand from a business perspective how expanding to a market that has billions of people looks good on the page, but I've always felt it wasn't going to be a good, sustainable move creatively as well as economically, which of course we're going to be seeing the consequences of that simply because we're pretty much in this trade war with China. So it's an interesting conversation, I think, to have, because there's sort of multiple layers to it. But the irony is, to me, key. And John Ford Jr., I can hear you typing your comment now. I'll see you in the comments, my friend. But yeah.
Alex, swinging over to you. What are your thoughts here on this topic?
To be totally honest, I don't think I could have said it any better than Jeremy. It's just so funny how the administration would do that, would accuse Disney of that when it's like that's exactly what they do themselves. So I don't know. I could not say it any better than Jeremy. I think what just is so interesting is just that it seems that blame for a lot of political issues tends to go towards Disney, and I don't know why everyone feels that Disney should be making decisions on behalf of the country. I have no idea. When it comes to the whole coronavirus thing, or when it comes to whatever, it's like everyone says, oh well, Disney is the one that's leading, the whole reopening with coronavirus and blah, blah, blah. But then they say things like this, which is like, that it's kowtowing to communist China. It's just like, well, what is it? What is it, people? Anyway, but I don't know. I feel honestly exhausted about these half political arguments when it comes to Disney, only because there's a lot of people out there who just really feel like we can't discuss politics on a Disney podcast, even though there's situations like this where where the subject matter is entirely political at this point.
Right.
So yeah, it's just it's frustrating. You know what I mean? Like it's really frustrating. Like I just wish I could say what I want to say and people would just be like, okay, that pertains to the topic.
Yeah, I'm sort of gotten to that point too. You know, there's such this huge intersection, you know, given where the world is at right now, not just in terms of coronavirus, where, you know, you can't just talk about Disney news in a vacuum anymore, especially when it comes to COVID and especially when it comes to comments like this. This is definitely newsworthy for a Disney podcast. And if we have to get our hands dirty and talk politics and share our opinions, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah, I agree. I really don't have much to add, I don't think, because I'm not very well versed when it comes to political stuff. But I was
gonna say life, but
that honestly that too. But of course, like I mentioned, if you'd like to read more on this very interesting topic, link will be down in the description. And Disney, I guess it's a good to note here as well, Disney has not yet responded to Mr. General William Barr's claims, and you know they probably won't.
Jeremy, do you think Disney will respond to that?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. Disney tends to play it as safe as possible in the political world, which is why they've had no issue sort of expanding the markets to China, regardless of it being an authoritarian rule. And I don't see them making, I can see them staying silent and playing it as safe as possible with our emerging authoritarian rule here.
All right. Nice.
Yeah.
Very well said. Well, 575-386-5814 if you guys would like to call in, leave a voicemail, and discuss your thoughts on this topic. But I think, unless you guys have anything else to add, it might be time to move on here. Do you guys have anything else that pertains to this topic?
No.
It sounded like Jeremy had something, but he said no only after Alex said no.
Let's move on. I'm already going to be scrutinized enough for what I've already said, so I don't need to continue anymore. So let's just move on.
Well, on that note, it is time for this week's COVID headline rundown. That's not right.
This week on Matterhorn Monday, Matt and company continue their reports and discussions on COVID-19 and its impact on the Disney company around the world.
Oh my god, that soundtrack mix-up was perfect because
Alex in the Park.
You're gonna talk about the COVID-19. It's gonna be.
We haven't
Alex
heard. Wait, just let it play. We haven't heard this in a long time.
In the Park. Yeah. A classic.
What a classic.
So creepy. It's just
classic.
like I can just like it makes it sound like I'm like behind a bush peeking through it. Just like. I don't know.
Well, I guess it is worth noting, Mr. Chris with a K has agreed, once Disneyland reopens, LMG Vids has agreed to take up Alex's mantle when it comes to recording in-park updates every week. So,
really?
Yeah, even though Mr. Alex is not there to film himself, Chris, LMG Vids, will be doing that for us.
I think Chris said that he'll be happy to provide footage, but he'll also let Alex narrate under whatever is seen.
So it'll still be called Alex in the Parks, even though he's not technically in the park anymore. But
it's so interesting to learn about the projects I'm involved in at the same time as everyone else is learning it.
Well, I just learned about this like the other night too. Chris just agreed to this, so. It's not, I guess
honestly, Alex, it was just casual conversation.
It was just, he probably doesn't even remember. Chris probably doesn't even remember, honestly.
It's just locker room talk.
Locker room talk. Well, everybody, for our first headline here, and of course links will be down below if you'd like to have more information, expand on what the headline pertains in the actual news article. For our first headline, Actors Equity Association releases video targeting Walt Disney World's lack of COVID-19 testing and face masks for performers. So I think we've sort of touched on something similar to this when a few weeks ago when Disney said that I think the union said that they weren't going to be providing free testing to all of the cast members. I think that was sort of what the article that we discussed there. So that sounds like a continuation on that. Second topic here, second headline. A GoFundMe has been launched to help Disney cultural representatives still stranded in Orlando due to COVID-19 pandemic. Wow, what a wholesome article there. I'll link the GoFundMe down in the description for you to, if you guys would like to help out all of these, lost cast members, stranded cast members. For our third headline here, Oogie Boogie? I don't know. I've never seen this movie. I don't know how to pronounce. It's Oogie Boogie.
Oogie Boogie, you're right. Yeah.
Oogie Boogie. I still haven't seen it for some reason. Oogie Boogie Bash has been canceled at Disney California Adventure due to COVID-19 pandemic concerns. So that's yet another nail in the coffin as to, possibly when we could predict Disneyland Resort to reopen. But I guess you could make the assumption that even if Disney were to open tomorrow, they still probably would have canceled the celebration nonetheless, because I think that's what they did in the Magic Kingdom as well with their, I think I could be remembering wrong. But final headline here, no NBA players have tested positive for COVID-19 since the July 13th move inside the Walt Disney World quote-unquote bubble. And that's really great news, actually. I'm sure things change every day, but as of the date that they tested there, since July 13th, no NBA players have tested positive. And then the NBA season, you guys, resumes this next week, the official season, the 30th. I think that's Wednesday, or maybe Thursday, maybe Friday. I don't know. So that's good news as well. But for our final second topic here today, this is not necessarily, I guess you could consider this a COVID headline, but it's not really one that pertains to or a COVID topic. It's not really one that we've sort of discussed in quite a while. I would like to dedicate this next, however many minutes it takes for us to talk about this. I'd like to talk about the construction projects that are currently in the works at the Disneyland Resort, how COVID-19, how the pandemic has affected those projects, as well as not just the projects that are already under construction, but ones that are in the pipeline to, begin construction fairly soon, as well as projects, maybe rumors that we've heard, just blue sky stuff, stuff like the Tomorrowland refurb, all that kind of stuff. We haven't really talked about this in, I think, quite a few months, and there, of course, has been new news that we've been hearing about these past few months that could sort of pertain to this as well. So I figured it's time. Let's go ahead and touch on this subject once again, refresh everybody's memory, see what's changed since the last time we discussed something like this. So this I think will be an interesting topic, hopefully. And again, 575-386-5814 if you guys would like to call in, leave your thoughts on this topic. But I guess we can go ahead and start with the current construction projects that are already currently under construction, and I'll sort of list down the things here, and we can sort of go from there. There is, of course, just the general refurbs to the attractions. There has been the Snow White refurb that I believe Snow White went down just before Disneyland officially closed for the pandemic, and then of course the Haunted Mansion refurb. That was supposed to add more ADA compliance, I'm pretty sure, as well as new effects, I think. And then, Avengers Campus as well is right under that as slightly more important than those refurbs. Avengers Campus, I want to say, is maybe, 65, 70, around there probably, % done with construction. Then, of course, there is the Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, where I don't believe there has been any sort of actual vertical construction when it comes to that, but the land has been cleared, I believe, to make way for the show building, just right above Tomorrowland. So we can go ahead and pause right there. Let's go ahead and swing over to Mr. Alex, the historian. Now, like I mentioned, we did talk about this, discuss these topics just a few months ago, but things have, of course, changed since then. And I'd like to hear not just Alex's thoughts, Jeremy's as well, and your guys in the chat what you guys think, or how you guys think the pandemic will be affecting these construction projects going forward. And these are, again, just we're starting off with projects that are currently, under construction. So, Alex, the floor is yours.
It's no good.
It's no good.
I'm just kidding. So certain projects are going to continue. As we all know, I'm pretty sure I don't have to tell you guys that, the Snow White refurbishment is still going to complete, and the refurbishment with the Haunted Mansion is going to be completed as well. And then we have refurbishments that are supposedly like in the works, like the Indiana Jones Adventure refurbishment. There's, as far as I know, maybe Jeremy knows something different, but as far as I know, there's been no word on that refurbishment. Some people say that while the park was closed, they began the refurbishment. But I don't know. I can't confirm that. And yeah, so that one I have a feeling is not going to happen. I mean, I believe it hasn't started yet, the Indiana Jones refurbishment. And so I don't believe it's going to happen just because of COVID and stuff. And then we've got let's see, what else is supposed to be refurbished?
I think King Arthur's Carousel was also under refurbishment, but that's like another smaller one.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of extensive for what it is. I mean, they were replacing the entire roof on the whole carousel, which is something they do like every 10 years or so. It's like a roof made of steel or something, and they replace it. I don't know. Anyway, but they're replacing that, and then from what I heard, the horses are getting like completely stripped down and then being repainted. So it's kind of like just like something that, because the wood, it gets old and they got to seal it and stuff and protect it. So but yeah, so that one I know is going to complete as well, because they were already like three quarters the way done. And then let's see. We heard obviously about the Splash Mountain retheme to Princess and the Frog, and while that one hasn't started yet and probably won't for another year at least, that is certainly on Disney's priority list, which is why a lot of other refurbishment projects around the resort have certainly gotten shelved, is to allocate that money towards that retheme.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was going to say that we were going to discuss more on that later on in the topic as well.
Yes. Well then, should I continue? Should I?
Well, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and swing over here to Mr. Jeremy now. Let's see what he has to say about all these, currently in the works construction projects at the Disneyland Resort.
It's hard not to talk about it within the context of the Splash Mountain redo.
Yeah.
At least what I have to offer to it. So I don't know if you want me if this to be a transition to.
Yeah, we can go ahead and transition to the
So basically, in terms of timelines, if the Princess and the Frog new Splash Mountain is the number one priority, we know that it's not going to close, at least in Disney World, until 2022, and we also know that Disney World Splash Mountain is the one that is leading the other ones. So I mean, here's the thing: if that's not closing until 2022 and not opening until 2024, then a lot of these other projects are going to be pushed back a very long time. So who knows? I mean, we speculated throughout the pandemic on this show about how COVID and stuff will affect projects like a new Tomorrowland. I don't think we'll see one in over a decade.
Yeah.
Because of not just the pandemic, but because if the company's reallocating their resources to Splash Mountain and that's not closing for another 2 years, I mean, we're not going to see a lot of new things for a very long time.
Yeah, and that was, of course, one of the reasons why I wanted to discuss this topic to begin with. And yeah, Jeremy did make the transition to projects not under construction, but that we do know are still are still on the block to return. And Alex already mentioned the indie project, which he actually said that he doesn't think that's going to be happening at all. So we can go ahead and possibly drop that from our list of current refurbs to come. But then there is, of course, the Disneyland Hotel Vacation Club expansion, which, you know, I would have assumed that would have been one of the first things that Disney would have cut from their budget, but. There was, of course, last week we talked about the new documents that were released, as well as the new pieces of concept art and sort of like architecture, drawings, all that kind of stuff that showed that off. So that I'm under the impression that is still, 100% under, still going forward. And then, of course.
Oh, yeah, that's. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. You go ahead, Jeremy.
Oh, I was gonna say.
No, I was just nodding my head. No.
Oh. Well, I was gonna say it's a no-brainer that they're going to finish that tower at the Disneyland Hotel, because that is a direct money maker.
Oh, okay.
It's like one thing, like if you're going to, like, I don't know, like redo Tomorrowland, it's like that could potentially bring in more people to the resort. But what will make them direct money on day one is people actually spending money on a room, on their property. Mm-hmm. And that's something that brings in a more direct cash flow, and they can monitor it more directly. So, so that one doesn't surprise me that they're finishing that tower. Plus, they already have a ton of people. It's part of Disney Vacation Club, right?
Yeah.
So, they have a ton of people at Disney Vacation Club who want to stay at Disneyland Resort. Excuse me, hiccup. They have a lot of people who want to stay on Disneyland Resort.
They have a lot of people.
Hey. I'm so tired. I stayed up till like 5 a.m. last night.
Oh my god! You mean this morning, not last night?
No.
Whatever, man. I stayed till like 5 a.m, and then I woke up at 8, and then I was just like, oh my! And I've been awake since then, so I had 3 hours. I'm so tired. Let me just So what was I saying? So there's not enough according to Disney, there's not enough Disney Vacation Club rooms on the resort property. I mean, of course, the rest of us are kind of like, there's more than enough, but Disney likes to make that money. So and then I wanted to also mention another project that I didn't tell you about yet. I mean, you already know, but I mean, you don't know now. You know?
I don't think I do.
Okay. My sleepiness is showing. So remember a long time ago I was talking about the Matterhorn and how it will need to be completely replaced within 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I had estimated way back when I first was telling everybody about it that they're probably going to replace it within 5 years, only because, why wait till it's ready to fall down to replace it? You know what I mean? But with what's happening with this pandemic and the allocation of money and, and the possible worries that might come with the tourism trade kind of falling, if it happens, more than it's already happened, then they may need to push back any plans that they have to rebuild the Matterhorn, and try to push it back as long as they can, without it collapsing on people. So, yeah. And then I don't know if you wanted to talk about the Tomorrowland stuff later.
Yeah, we can go ahead and get into that here in a bit, I think. But yeah, that's really sad to hear about the Matterhorn, I guess. I mean, it does make sense. I'm sad that it won't be getting a refurb anytime soon. I mean, it was probably already going to be a while, like Alex said. But I mean, would you maybe assume that Disney would close the Matterhorn then, in like 5 years or so, just as a precaution if maybe if things get worse.
I mean,
until they do the refurb.
It's hard to say because if you look at history, which this is why I'm into history, because there's times where Disney will actually do something that follows the pattern of their history. So if you look at the closure of the Skyway, they closed that well in advance of an estimated catastrophe. Basically, they knew that there was some structural issues after it just basically being there for like a million years, and they could have waited longer, but they were just kind of like, let's just not let it get to that point, and they closed it, and then they removed it promptly. But that was like 25 years ago. So, and times have changed. We have, we've had 2 CEOs since then. And just a completely like different change up of how management works at Disney. My experience at Disney from 2009 to 2016, my experience there, and I know people probably disagree with me, but the way that the company ran back then was kind of like, let's just wait till something really bad happens and then we'll do something. And so that's what I'm worried about. I don't know if that mindset is still continuing within the company, but if it does, then yeah, you're looking at Disney trying to just keep putting Band-Aid fixes on the Matterhorn. And eventually they'll have some major structural failures. And the thing that worries me though is that you got a lot of fans, like you've seen it with the Splash Mountain thing. When they announced Splash Mountain's changes, everybody went into an uproar and was like, they need to keep it because it's historical or blah, blah, blah. Well, those same people are also saying the same thing about the Matterhorn. When it comes to anything that happens to the Matterhorn, people want to preserve it, basically. And they don't, in this case, they don't understand that this is a matter of safety. And there's, what is wrong with my eye? There's a matter of
safety.
What's the matter with your eye?
Let's go. 2 jokes in a row.
Okay. Yeah, they're on either side of me. 3 in a row now. Okay, so yes. So what was I saying? Okay, so in this case, the Matterhorn has really experienced a lot of structural damage. It wasn't even built to what we today would consider safe building standards. And so it's already at that point. And the breaking off of the concrete after I released my Matterhorn video was kind of like, it wasn't the first time it happened. The other times it happened, they were much smaller pieces. And so it wasn't really noteworthy. People didn't really put it all over the internet like they did when this huge door-sized piece of concrete fell off. So, but that is going to get worse. There's going to be more pieces, and eventually, there will be issues with the structural integrity. A lot of the Matterhorn is made of wood, which is quite rotten. And so, what am I trying to say here? To finish up what I'm saying, they're going to want to give it as much Band-Aid fixes as they can, and the fans are just gonna love that. They're just gonna say, keep doing Band-Aid fixes, don't change the Matterhorn, and that's what I'm worried about.
Wow, Alex, I must say you passed whatever was wrong with your eye to my eye, because now I have something in my eyeball, and it will
like
not
my
release.
Eyelashes were like knotting up into a bunch. I was like, what is
hate it when
going
that
on?
happens, yeah. They get tangled or something like that.
I think I'm good here. My eye's fine. Yeah, Jeremy, if you don't have any thoughts, I think we can go ahead and move on to the future Blue Sky. Very briefly, we can touch on that.
Okay, yeah.
All right. Well, like both of these hosts, mentioned. I don't know. I was trying to come up with like a nickname or something. Where these everybody, Alex and Jeremy did both already mention the Tomorrowland refurb, and of course I'm gonna throw in the Fantasyland's refurb / expansion as well in there. And yeah, this is moving on to the projects that maybe didn't have necessarily a dedicated, timeline that was at least released publicly. Projects that were still in blue sky, all that kind of stuff. And we do have the Tomorrowland refurb, and like I mentioned, the Fantasyland refurb / expansion. And I believe Alex and Jeremy both said that it's going to be a very long time till we see at least the Tomorrowland refurb as well. And that's very, every time it feels like we bring up the Tomorrowland refurb, we bring up, oh, wow, it could be happening in a few years. I'm excited. What could it be? And then just, a few episodes later, we're torn back down to reality again. We're stuck with this 98 Tomorrowland for another, 10, 15, maybe more, who knows, years. Yeah, and I completely forgot even that Disney was supposed to install that new... Wasn't I supposed to install like a new sign at the entrance of Tomorrowland in the spring? I thought is when that was supposed to happen. And
it was, and then the park closed.
Yeah, so we're not even getting the bare bones that they were trying to do to fix it. We're not even getting that probably. So let's go ahead and switch over here to Mr. Jeremy. Like I mentioned, we already sort of briefly touched on this, but what are your thoughts? Possibly, when could we maybe see a Tomorrowland refurb and then a Fantasyland refurb / expansion as well?
Tomorrowland refurb, I think we won't even see that even breaking ground until 2030, if I'm honest. And maybe not even open until 2035 at the very most. Don't flash forward and think about how old you'll be at that time. It'll just put you through existential crisis.
I'll be 100.
Don't recommend that. Okay. So with but the way we can look at it is we had a rough idea, not necessarily of timeline, but of what they were prioritizing. We do know that they're gonna do, if they're gonna do anything, they're gonna do a Fantasyland expansion before they even do a Tomorrowland refurb, which was the conversation well before we even had coronavirus as part of our vocabulary.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's still going to be the case. I think we'll see a Fantasyland expansion before we see a Tomorrowland redo, which means, we're not going to see either of those things really in this decade. Maybe Fantasyland near the end of the decade, but certainly not a Tomorrowland. I hope I'm wrong about that, but that's just when you think we have timelines for parks laid out till the middle of this decade, which and then we're not going to see big projects like that till the beginning of the next decade.
Yeah. Alex, what about you?
Well, I'm more inclined to lean the way that Jeremy was saying, which was that the plans for a full Tomorrowland redo probably won't even happen at least till 2030. But there's also a counter argument to be said, which isn't much of a counter argument, I'll admit. But basically it's like, well, when Bob Iger was CEO, he had a philosophy that actually, won out, which was if you want to bring the people in, you got to spend the money. And so, that was something that Michael Eisner, towards the end, he had changed that philosophy around to the opposite. He had decided, we got to save money. And that's what ruined the parks and resorts.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I feel like, but you see that's the thing, is that Bob Iger is no longer in charge of the company. It's the other Bob. It's the Bobby Bob,
Baldy boy.
Baldy boy, the Bob Chapstick. And I don't know yet, but I don't feel like he's the kind of guy that's like, okay, we need more people in, we'll invest the money. It's like, no, I feel like he's the kind of person that would be like, let's start cutting stuff from our budget. Why spend more when we could save less?
Even Iger is now sort of on that boat, right? Because didn't he say earlier on, like in this, that we're going to have to start really reevaluating how we spend money and stuff like that in the company? and that's always code for parks. You know what I mean?
I mean, yes, but he said that after he left his position as CEO.
That's true.
So he
But
might
I'm
have
saying
just.
Chapek might also be within that philosophy as well.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like I felt like Bob Iger's statement then was basically saying, "Hey, Chapstick, it's okay if you want to cut funding. You don't have to look towards what I would do."
Okay.
Because I mean, we all speculated before that like one of the reasons why Bob Iger left that position early was actually because the board wanted him to leave. He was just spending so much money, and even though he was successfully spending the money spending the money on successful ventures, it's still a lot of money, and the board was just like, "Hey, we could save money if we don't spend it." So it's backwards, right? So I believe that Bob Iger only said that to kind of hint at Bob Chapek's possible course of action. But yes, if I were to offer a glimmer of hope to people in terms of the Tomorrowland and Fantasyland refurbishments, it would be that if there is any kind of carryover from the previous administration, so to speak, would be that they if they have a problem bringing people in after the parks reopen and the pandemic's thing is starting to dwindle, then they may need to invest money in Disneyland to bring those crowds in. But it could go either way.
Yeah, I just like to point out in chat, Boom Bob said the Mickey lines up perfectly with Alex's head. And it does. You guys see that?
Oh,
it's
yeah.
amazing. It's right in the middle of your head.
It's so tiny. It's not even like the perfect Mickey
It's like
thing.
you have a Mickey growing out.
I know
of
that's
your head.
it's like
like a crown.
I know. It's like someone hit me on the head and I grew like a little Mickey lump.
A Mickey lump.
All these laughs make me want to hear about Puckermint so bad.
Well, Jeremy, you're in luck because I think it's just about time. Well, we'll wrap up this topic here. I'm sure we'll have more information on this, in the coming months, maybe when they have another quarterly sort of review that they do discussing their expenses. And it is just kind of weird to me that the Disney parks is like the number one moneymaker for the Disney company, and yet they, still are so weary of investing all this money into Tomorrowland refurbs and Fantasyland expansions and Matterhorn fixes. But
it's because people don't like to look at how history has affected the present. They just don't. So we look back on it and we go, this investment in money paid off. But then no one wants to do that. They just want to go, how can we save the money?
It's like good ideas. Good ideas are hard to finance. Bad ideas, everyone's there. Everyone wants to. It's very strange.
Yeah.
Listen to historians. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, everybody, listen to Alex. I don't think I wouldn't consider myself a historian.
No.
But Alex is literally a historian. It's in his name. But anyways, on that note, we'd love to hear what you guys have to think about this general topic. 575-386-5814. You can always go ahead and call in after the show has finished airing live, and you can always comment down below as well. But again, the podcast's Hidden Mickey has been found, and then Boom Bob says, I can't stop looking at it. That's pretty funny. But anyways, I think on that note, it's time to take a quick break here to take a listen to the show's sponsors. Oh yeah. If you guys are wondering where you can find even more family-friendly live streams just like this one, head on over to theliveplace.com. The Live Place is your headquarters for great family-friendly live streams. They cover anything from Disney to other vacation spots, various variety shows, and have some amazing streamers like Resort TV 1 and myself. Sure. Also, be sure to check out puckermint.com, where you can find amazing pins and stickers, Puckermint is based out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, just a few hours from where I live. And since I'm a big believer in supporting local artists, we decided to partner up. Be sure to use the coupon code down below when you make your next order. Again, that's puckermint.com and puckermint on Instagram. Oh, what do we have here? Alex went to grab his Mickey... Is that a waffle? Mickey waffle?
What are you talking about?
Anyways... no, Alex grabbed the Mickey Mouse off of his wall.
What Mickey Mouse?
Oh my gosh, we've been hallucinating this whole time, you guys. It's all the Snapple we've been drinking. It's honestly making us go crazy. But on that note, I guess it's time to switch over to this week's Attraction Retrospective. Ooh, it's not scary. I don't know why I did like a spooky thing.
It's just like remnants of Matt Host's
Ghosts. We forgot to bring that back last October, but we'll bring it back this year for you all.
Well, how many times can you beat a dead horse?
Honestly, that's a good point. Honestly, that's a good point.
We should bring back Words with Walt, though.
Yeah, the Words with Walt was a good segment.
Yeah.
Next episode, we'll bring back Words with Walt.
Words with Walt turned to Matt Host's Ghosts.
It did.
Wasn't that weird? How did that happen?
And then
I thought there was a period. There was a period where we had Matt Host's Ghosts, and then Words with Walt was always the closing segment.
Honestly, I can't remember.
Well, yes, it happened. It overlapped at one point, and then it just became Yeah.
All right.
Well, as you all can tell from this very lovely picture, the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad has won out, and this isn't. I don't think this is the Disneyland version of Big Thunder, but it was the most high-resolution picture that I could find just right off Google Images. It still counts, though. Big Thunder, you guys, is the attraction that won out. It beat over Star Tours, you guys. Star Tours lost last week, and it lost again this week, and I'm honestly I'm just disappointed in you all. But, Big Thunder's a great ride. We're going to be excited to talk about it. And, of course, you guys got to give some love to Lincoln. Great moments with Mr. Lincoln has been...
It did pretty well this week.
It did do well. It was very close to tying with Star Tours. I feel like next week is the week where we can really push for it to go all the way and to take home the gold so we can finally talk about it. But, yeah, we are talking this week about the... Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, and I guess we're going to be sticking directly to the Disneyland version. We might delve into the other versions as well, but we'll see how it goes, everybody. And of course, as you all know, this is just, information that every Disney fan should know. Opened on September 2nd of 1979 is when Disneyland's Big Thunder Mountain Railroad opened. And I guess right off the bat here, before we get into maybe some of the history and our experiences with it, let's go ahead and touch on just this attraction in general. Just our first impressions on this attraction. Jeremy, why don't we go ahead and start with you?
I love Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. I love all the versions that exist. They're so, the fact that Disneyland and Disney World are mirror images of each other, it's surprising how they feel like different experiences to me. Like they feel unique. And of course there's scenery and in MK's version that is vastly different to Disneyland's, but I love Disneyland's. I think it fits perfectly in that little area. Obviously I didn't get to experience the incredible Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland, which I think would have been one of my favorite attractions had I grown up in that period. But I love Thunder Mountain. And of course I love Tony Baxter and I love Claude Coates. What a great combination of people. So yeah, I enjoy it. I love the views. I love the scenery. And the fact that it really expanded in the late 70s what a themed roller coaster could be. I mean, like the 70s saw a lot of expanding the roller coaster as an amusement form, like in amusement parks around the country and around the world. But Thunder Mountain took those principles and said, how can we apply it to what we know makes a good themed show? And it's pretty revolutionary when you look at it through that lens. We kind of take it for granted today. But yeah.
I agree. Alex, what about you, Mr. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad What are your thoughts here?
Just a second.
Ooh, he's typing something. Ryan said in
Just a
chat.
second.
Ryan said in chat, Big Thunder Mountain
Just a
makes my butt hurt.
second.
There
I don't
we
know
go.
if
I
Big Thunder.
responded.
Oh my God, Alex, no. There's another joke. That's 3 in one episode, you guys. 4 in one episode. 3? I don't know. It's honestly a record, and I'm proud of us. And now,
What? Okay.
now is Alex. Yeah, Big Thunder.
Okay. So Big Thunder Mountain Railroad is one of those attractions that I actually, as a kid, I was super afraid of. I did not want to ride this ride. Like I think I've told a lot of people when I was a kid, my dad would take me to Disneyland, and I hated Disneyland. I thought every ride was scary, and I didn't want to even be there. But my dad loved this ride, and I think I kind of grew to like it just by riding it a lot. And as I started learning about Disney history and stuff, it's kind of like I became fascinated with it because of the fact that it's centered on like the Old West, which is something I've already been really interested in. And, and then of course it's a train, it's a mine train, and then when I learned about its history, dating back to Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland, I just thought it was a really cool, very rich history. And there's a lot of like interesting fun facts. Like it's like the first ride that Tony Baxter had been in charge of overseeing from, like 100%. And what I find interesting about each Big Thunder, like kind of bouncing off what Jeremy was saying about how they're all different, which is like the one at Disneyland is designed to kind of look like, well, they say Bryce Canyon, but it actually looks more like, there's a place near Bryce Canyon. It's called Dixie something. And the hoodoos in Dixie National Park look more like Big Thunder at Disneyland. So I think that's where it's actually based off of, really. But anyway, and the one at Walt Disney World, is kind of like, I can't think about it now, but it looks kind of like the whole Western River Expedition rock work and stuff. So anywho, this attraction means a lot to me now. And yeah, I can't think. I'm so tired. But yeah, I'll let you guys go on.
Well, I guess I'll sort of continue on here, and then we'll let Jeremy talk. Yeah, I love Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. I'm pretty sure this was one of my favorite rides as a kid, other than like Space Mountain. I was a big fan of roller coasters, and I was a big fan of the vibe, the overall vibe, I guess, of just Frontierland. And yeah, we can go ahead and get into sort of the history, what this attraction replaced, maybe a little bit later on once we hear Jeremy talk. And then, of course, we can maybe briefly touch on the Western River Expedition, because this was originally derived from that. But Jeremy, what are your thoughts? Oh wait, we already went to you, didn't we?
Yeah, we already did.
With
I was
you.
ready. Yeah, we that's correct.
Okay.
I'm sorry you didn't listen.
Anyway, I just always tune Jeremy out whenever he talks on the show, so it's just hard for me to keep track sometimes. Well, anyways, now we can go ahead and get into some of the history of this attraction then. This did, of course, replace the very famous Mine Train attraction, Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland, and I agree with Jeremy. I think this would have been one of my favorite rides growing up as well if I had have gotten the chance to experience it. And I think this is really one of those attractions as well that a lot of Disney fans, a lot of maybe Disney history fans would love to go back in time to experience it. I'd say like this, the People Mover, maybe Adventure Through Inner Space is probably like the top 3 Disneyland rides that people would, love to go back and experience. And this, yeah, for me, I'd 100% agree. Very sad I never got to experience it, but I guess I can't really speak as to whether Big Thunder's better than... I mean, I guess it all depends on if you like roller coasters or not. But Jeremy, Whoa.
Yes.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead? I just completely lost my train of thought there. Let's go ahead and touch
Your
briefly.
mind train of
me.
thought?
The mind train. I lost my mind train of thought. Yeah, guys, that's 5 jokes in one episode. It's a new record, honestly. But Jeremy, mind train through nature's wonderland. How do you feel about Big Thunder Mountain replacing such an iconic attraction that you never got to experience?
I don't really know, and I again, I grew up. The three of us, and I assume most people in the chat who are of a younger age, grew up with Thunder Mountain always being there. So for people like us, Thunder Mountain is affiliated with the feeling of Disney, like of what Disneyland is. I mean, I don't know a Disneyland without Big Thunder Mountain. I also think that's a testament to, Tony Baxter always meticulously trying, whatever new attraction comes in, always meticulously trying to make it blend as best as possible with the overall feel of Disneyland. And I do think Thunder Mountain is successful at that. That being said, talk to someone who grew up with Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland, and I'm sure you'll pick out a few people who'll say, I love Thunder Mountain, but this was a very unique experience that I miss. But I think it comes from that very innocent nostalgia. I grew up with this Disneyland, but I also love the Disneyland I have now, and I think Tony Baxter's always been a pro at doing that. I very rarely hear people make the argument like, oh, Big Thunder Mountain coming in was absolutely shameful, it ruined Frontierland. No, I don't hear that, because I think the team that was working on, first of all, you do have a first generation Imagineer working on Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, the great Claude Coates, and one of his babies was also Mine Train Through Nature Wonderland with the Rainbow Caverns. So you still have the touch of Walt a little bit in Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, simply because you have a master like Claude Coates working on it and mentoring, collaborating with the new generation, Tony Baxter. So it does have the best of both worlds in that sense.
Yeah, and Jeremy did mention as well that Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland was Claude Coates' baby. It's not literally
yes and no.
His baby.
Because you could also argue when Mark Davis went in the 60s.
Oh, no, Jeremy, I meant that he didn't physically give birth to the ride. He did not.
See, Matt was attempting to make a joke. Much like his face, it falls flat.
Oh my god, that's 6 in an episode, you guys. What is going on today? We're feeling.
You have to be sleepy. I'm telling you.
I think this is just the first time we're keeping count. Like nothing feels.
That's true.
Like
someone can go ahead and count up the previous ones in previous episodes.
The previous 143 episodes.
Yeah, go back and we'll listen to them all. Don't skip the ads either. But yeah, Claude Coates did not give birth to this attraction. I just wanted to go ahead and throw that out there for those confused, because Jeremy did use kind of confusing terminology there, but I'll give him a pass.
Yeah, but Matt, the joke doesn't work anymore. You can't just go back to the joke you were trying to squeeze in.
Alex, what are your thoughts on Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland?
I remember it fondly. I remember riding the attraction and thinking Mine Train was just wonderful. And then they built Big Thunder, and I thought, this is just perfectly great as well. So,
I don't think Alex was
that old.
Yeah, I didn't know you were born back then, Alex. Wow.
I mean, I am just really youthful in appearance. So,
all right.
But yes, Big Thunder Mountain. Honestly, okay, so I would have really liked Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland a lot. It would have been one of my favorite attractions at Disneyland. But, Big Thunder is also really, really good. I mean, it's basically Mine Train, but just faster. I mean, literally. I mean, they took the best elements of the animals and the scenery and then put it into a more compact and faster version of the ride. So you're getting all the same elements, just with a bit of thrill to it. So, I honestly, I forgive Big Thunder for taking over this attraction. It was still a good replacement.
I agree.
Yeah. I agree as well. Big Thunder, like I said, always been one of my favorite attractions to go on. But, you guys, if anyone in chat has access to a time machine, I would still love to go back and experience Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland, but Anyways, there's not a version of this attraction in every single Disney park. I don't believe there's one in Shanghai Disneyland. I'm not quite sure about Hong Kong as well. But I do know that there are different iterations of this attraction.
Well, the Hong Kong version is not known as Big Thunder. It's known as the what's that one? The Grizzly. What do you call it?
Grizzly. I forget what it's called.
Grizzly.
Yeah,
Gulch.
exactly.
Yeah.
But it's not.
It's not Big Thunder, but
It's not
Disney,
the same layout. It's a very different ride experience.
But Disney itself refers to it as the modern iteration of Big Thunder.
Okay.
I've seen videos. I don't really think it holds a candle to it. I think it looks great, and I'm all for like new original attractions, and I would totally go on it, and I think I would like it. But I don't know. There's something about Thunder Mountain that I think it can't touch. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe.
You're always wrong.
All right, that's not true. It's not true.
Well, yeah, I'd like to experience the Paris version of this attraction where it's on like the island.
It's great,
and
yeah,
it's fantastic. Yeah.
One day we all need to take a field trip. 3 of us, the chat can go to, subscribers, all 11,000 of them. We'll all go together. We'll divide times.
It's just one bus ride to Paris, right?
Yeah. We can we can squeeze someone in the suitcases to sneak in for free. But I'd like to point out here, Robert in chat said he's 52 years old, loved Mine Train, and he wishes it would have stayed. But now I love Thunder Mountain. So straight from the source, you guys. Thank you, Mr. Robert, for providing.
Straight from the source.
Yeah, you can, if you'd like, you can go ahead and call and leave a voicemail. We'd love to hear what you have to say about this attraction. But we do have one voicemail to get to here before we sort of close things off, and this is from Mr. Ryan. Let's go ahead. I closed the voice. No, I didn't. It's right here. Let's go ahead and take a listen to what Mr. Ryan has to say about Big Thunder Mountain.
Hey, Matt. About Big Thunder Mountain, I said in the chat, it really hurts my butt so hard because of the rockiness. I don't know if you guys have, felt the rockiness, just me. But since you're going so fast and that's how the train kind of yanks you from side to side when you're going down fast, I think it's fun to look at for its unique architecture and rocks. Also, Alex, what do you mean by rhyme with corn dog? Do you mean by I'm supposed to put the corn dog spoon on the car? I just want to know.
Oh my god. Thank you, Ryan, for that.
I thought I would be let off the hook with that joke. Now I have to explain it.
We're waiting. Oh, wait. Is that it?
Oh,
okay.
Oh.
I mean, well, thank you, Mr. Ryan.
It doesn't.
Are we gonna? I don't know what's going on. All I know.
I feel the rockiness, but it's like if there's a cushiony thing. I get more.
No pun intended.
Pain from the Matterhorn than I do on Thunder
Rockiness,
Mountain.
because there's rocks on the ride.
Oh.
I had to explain it so it's not funny anymore. But what was I going to say? I was going to say thank you, Mr. Ryan, for that voicemail. But I was going to say something. I guess we can sort of close off on this sort of open-ended question here. Do you guys think that Big Thunder Mountain Railroad will be Frontierland's last attraction expansion in the Disneyland in Disneyland?
Wait.
What do you mean?
Say that again?
Because there's not a lot of real estate when it comes to building new attractions in Frontierland.
So you're saying, will Thunder Mountain be the last new attraction in Frontierland, the land?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I meant.
Got it. Cool.
I think that, to quickly wrap this up, but I think that there is a very good chance that the only attractions that can ever be built in Frontierland that are ride-through attractions would have to be, more modern versions of Big Thunder or something to completely replace Big Thunder itself. There's the chance that one day they could bulldoze Thunder Pond and, maybe build something like they do at Paris, where you board on the mainland, but it goes underneath the river to the island, and there might be something with that. But honestly, Frontierland has gotten so small over the years. It's gone from the biggest land in the park to like one of the smallest. But yeah, so I don't think that there's a way to add anything else to Frontierland without bulldozing one of the current attractions. And to Ryan Hines, the joke was essentially that maybe you would purchase a food corn dog and maybe bring it onto the attraction with you, drop it while on the attraction, and thereby impale yourself on the corn dog as you are riding the attraction. But the joke was lost in translation. So thank you.
I still laughed. Jeremy, what about you?
Yeah, I agree with Alex. The only possible piece of real estate that I could see Disney going, let's build something there would be to get rid of Tom Sawyer Island and put something on the island. That is some kind of attraction, whether it's a very mini Western River expedition where you board on the mainland and you go on a dark ride sort of underneath and then emerge on the island, or not. I don't know. Same thing with like Tron and Space Mountain being next door neighbors. It would be very weird to me to have like two different roller coasters that are like right next to each other that are frontier-y themed. Yeah. But we'll see if they can make a really compelling dark ride that goes on the island and it's very scenically beautiful. I think that would be the last piece of real estate that Disney would remotely think about using. I don't see them being like, let's get rid of Big Thunder Mountain and then build another roller coaster in its place. Although, hey, anything's possible. Anything is possible.
Bigger Thunder Mountain, said Luke in chat. That's a good one. Well, here we'll leave on this last open-ended question. I think we touched on this very early on in Alex and I's podcast days. I think we proposed the question: move Thunder Mountain to Tom Sawyer Island to free up space in Frontierland to build a new attraction there. We'll leave on that. I want to hear what you guys think about. That it's kind of a crazy idea. They probably never do it, but it's it's fun to think about.
I just think it would make more sense to look at Tom Sawyer Island and build an original experience with that, real estate, as opposed to figuring out how to fit Thunder Mountain on that island so that they can build something else that fits into that now very small piece of real estate. So I just feel like it would make more sense to, if they're going to keep Thunder Mountain, why spend the money to move it when they already have real estate that could possibly be used for some other experience that they can tailor to that real estate.
Okay. That's fair. That's a fair argument. And last but not least, Alex, what are your thoughts on that?
On what part exactly?
on moving Thunder Mountain to Tom Sawyer Island and then building a new ride in its place on the mainland.
I don't really think it's possible. Tom Sawyer Island is just so small. I mean, I think that... I feel like if they were to do something like that, they might move most of the attraction towards the Big Thunder Pond area, have some kind of thing that goes over or under the river, and then does a little bit of a loop-de-loop around the island, and come back to the mainland to finish. It would have to be a really tall attraction to fit most of the stuff there, and even then the space that you would use that used to be Big Thunder, it's big but not enough. Like, I feel like Disney nowadays is used to building rides that just use up a lot of space. Like
that doesn't even get seen, right? It doesn't even utilize the space within the land to experience it. Like, it's like, okay, we're decreasing the size of the land and enormous show building, as opposed to using the space.
Like look at Big Thunder Mountain and how much it really just twists and winds itself into that space. And then you look at something like, like Ratatouille. I mean, I know that's a bad example because it's a trackless ride, but Nevertheless, Disney is obsessed with building trackless rides right now, but they take up so much land. Like when they told me that they were building Rise of Resistance as a trackless ride, I was like, you realize you're building it in Disneyland Resort, right? A place that has such limited amount of land that you're basically building a ride that's half the size of the park. It's just like, so things like that. So when I think about, moving Big Thunder and using its previous footprint for a new ride, the only thing I can think of is that's going to be a very short ride. So,
Well, they could put a carousel there. That'd be good enough, right? Carousels don't take up too much space.
What I will say is that, we often look at the 67 Tomorrowland as like the first great example of how you use kinetic energy in a land, how to have multiple attractions within the same space that actually integrates into the land itself. Frontierland's actually the pioneer of this. Yeah, if you look at the original Frontierland, you had the mine train, you had the Conestoga wagons, you had the pack mules, all existing and weaving within the same space. So I say, if they can figure out how to keep Thunder Mountain there, have another experience, I agree with Alex, that goes from the Big Thunder Pond into the, under or over the rivers of America, and have more kinetic energy while still keeping Thomas Sawyer Island, I think that would be really good. The only problem is they don't do that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though it's one of the most fundamental parts of theme park design.
Well,
yeah, I mean, everything is designed as if they're building it for Walt Disney World, and then they just move that over here, and it's like...
Right. Yeah. It's like now everyone's like, ooh, the best mark of a quality theme park attraction is how well you can hide the show building, when the conversation should be the mark of a great Disney attraction is how it is integrated within the rest of the park experience, the physical park experience.
Yes. You know what? Let's extend this podcast another 30 minutes and talk about this.
Oh, God.
We could. We could, but we're not going to.
Well, on that note, I think that is going to wrap up this week's Attraction Retrospective, as well as wrap up this week's episode of Matterhorn Mondays. Thank you all for coming, and you guys know the drill. Links to everything will be down in the description below. Links to the articles, links to Alex's YouTube, links to Alex's Twitter, links to Jeremy's Twitter, links to Jeremy's YouTube channel as well. It'll all be down there. It's this channel. Well, yeah, thank you to everybody who called in. Avery called in. He was the first voicemail we listened to, Reverend Puck, at the top of the episode. But yeah, 575-386-5814 if you guys would like to call in throughout the week, leave any messages for us, whether it be on the first topic we discussed, whether it be on some of the COVID headlines, whether it be on the open-ended discussion that we had about the future of the projects at Disneyland, or of course Attraction Retrospective. But enough plugging of social media and other stuff. Thank you all for coming to today's episode, and as always, have a great big beautiful tomorrow.